On this week's episode of the BS Show, we dive into Stardew Valley and more. Before we jump in, don't forget to stay connected with us on all socials at the BS Show GG. Love what you're hearing? Show your support by liking this episode, dropping a comment with your thoughts, and subscribing to keep up with all our future content. I'm Blake, and with me as always is Steve. Well, everyone, happy New Year. It's 2025. I can't believe it. It's making me feel old. I know, Steve, your birthday's next month, isn't it?
Yeah.
My birthday is in almost 3 weeks, January 23rd. And I think with each passing year, I'm feeling older and older. And the reason I'm bringing this up is it's, I was talking to Megan about this a little bit, because, obviously I play a lot of games. We play a lot of games. And I was like, does it really get an age at you stop playing? But then I see a lot of streamers and there's a lot of gamers out there who are older than us. So it was just kind of I don't know. Do you think there becomes an age it's game is just you oh, I'm not gonna do this anymore? Or do you think once a gamer always a gamer? Because we've been doing this shit forever, right?
I think it really just depends. I definitely see how as life kind of gets a little bit more convoluted and you got more stuff going on, whether it's family, work, stuff like that, it gets harder and harder to commit time to playing games, especially some of the games that we like to play where you kind of have to commit so much time into these games just to be able to even enjoy it a little bit.
No, that's don't say the games that we enjoy. So for a little background on this, Steve yesterday invited me to come play some Civ 6 at I think you texted me at 3 p.m. We ended up playing I think at around 4. And I went, I was like, dude, I can't keep playing this. I went, ate dinner, came back. We played some more games. Or I hopped on, I think at 8:30. And you were still in the same fucking game of Civ 6. It had been 4.5 hours later and you were still playing it. Dude, I told Megan, I was like, Megan, Steve is still playing the same thing because I was like, she's like, are you almost done? She's like, I don't want to start, because we had I made some steaks last night for the dinner, and she's like, I don't want to do it until you're ready. She's like, are you going to be done? I was like, I don't know. I was like, we've only been playing for 30 minutes, and Steve says it's going to take a while, and there it is. I'm like, man, imagine if I would have told her just to wait for the game to finish. It would have been starting dinner till fucking 10 o'clock at night, dude.
We didn't even finish the game, which is the funny part. We just got to a point where it was my buddy had to leave, and I was like, all right, cool. That's a cool stopping point. It's fine.
And that was at 8:30, 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah. We were probably maybe 3/4 of the way done with the game.
God,
before
damn,
someone
dude.
won. Yeah.
See, and then you're over here telling me because I remember you had told me that Civ 6, not necessarily that it was bad, but it wasn't as good as the older Civs. And now we got there's Civ 7 right around the corner coming out.
Well, I wouldn't even necessarily say it was not as good as the older games. I love Civ 6, but Civ 5 to me was the one that I enjoyed the most. I just really like what you can do with the builders in Civ 5, but I don't know. It's still enjoyable. It's still super super fun. You still get the same concept of the game. I'm curious to see what they're going to do with Civ 7 for sure though.
But it cracks me up because you're we don't have time to play the games anymore.
Well,
but
no.
I know it's a weekend, but.
Well, I'm not saying we don't have time. I'm just saying, I can definitely see it, how some people can kind of fall out of love with gaming, especially if the only types of games that you've enjoyed are say you grew up playing sports games, you grew up playing Call of Duty, and as your reflexes get slower and slower, and you're still trying to kind of compete, you're so accustomed.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The best player in the lobby, and all of a sudden you just can't compete. Really, I can see how some people can kind of fall out of love with gaming. For me, it's I enjoy all sorts of different types of games, and it's I think I've been trying to expose you to more and more different games.
Well, I know you said too, this year we're gonna try a lot better at playing a lot more of these new releases, right?
Yeah. As they come out, I think that's one thing that we want to try to do is just place an emphasis on playing the games that come out. Really being able to talk about it in a better light.
Yeah, so besides Civ 6, I played, I think it was as always, League of Legends. We actually hopped into Pal World for a little bit before you had me hop on Stardew Valley. Did you enjoy the Pal? I didn't really notice a difference between what we just played a little bit ago to the update they just put out. I guess maybe because we're not far enough into the game. I also didn't even realize that it's still in early access. I thought it was like fully released.
Oh crap! Yeah, I had no idea. I thought it was fully released as well.
Because
No,
it's isn't it supposed to be getting ported to like PlayStation, or it did get ported or something like that? Like I thought it was fully released.
I think it is supposed to here very soon, or it might already be ported to PlayStation. I know they partnered with Sony, but I'm not 100% sure. But no, I didn't really notice a huge difference. But again, I think most of the changes come with the new island.
So, besides your 4.5 hour match of Civ 6, what other games have you played this past week and weekend?
I've been playing Far Cry 6. I bought it when it was on sale last week, and just been going through it a little bit. And
Was that one of
it's
the games I
okay.
put out? Was that one of the games I said was on sale?
I can't remember if you said it was on sale
If I
or
did,
not,
you're welcome.
but it was like 70% off. And I've been wanting to play it for a long time, and I'm a big fan of the Far Cry series, but it just doesn't feel as great as some of the older ones. So I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to complete it. I might give it a little bit more, couple more hours just to see how it develops. But for now, it's not one of my favorites. The
How far
story
into it
doesn't.
are you?
I'm about like 5 hours in.
God
Um,
damn.
it just doesn't feel as engaging as some of the other ones. Like even the last one, which was once you got a helicopter, it kind of seemed like really pointless to do a lot of these siege missions where you're going in and taking over the cult members areas because you
Yeah.
could just go in with a helicopter and just shoot everyone down. So it was super easy, but it was still fun. It was still enjoyable. The boss fights were fun. The story was super cool. I liked the idea of how like these guys were like bringing the end of the world and you were trying to stop it. Um, but so far, like this one, it's yeah, there's a revolution, blah blah, whatever's going on, but it's not as engaging as some of the older ones for sure.
Which is your favorite Far Cry?
Ooh, that's
Do you?
hard.
I don't know how many there
Uh,
are now. There's like fucking 7 of them.
Pick.
There's 6.
It might be four for me. It's either I really really liked four. I thought the story was super good. I love the story in Far Cry 5. So that for me it's a toss up between 4 and 5. I didn't get a chance to really play 3 as much as I should have. I know that's a lot of people's favorites. But I definitely need to go back and replay that.
Did you happen to get any more time in on a PoE 2?
No, 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 no.
None at all. Are you still what you're still what, like level like 30, aren't you, or something like that?
I think I'm level 24, 25, something like that. I'm
I
not
know
too
I
far
know I'm
ahead of you.
catching up. I know I'm catching up. I still haven't really played a whole lot since that fucking werewolf Count Geonor fucking pissed me off with the 3 phases of the fight.
Yeah, but you only tried it like 2 times and
Bro,
then
I
you gave
tried it
up.
5 times, dude. I know I need to
That's
try more.
nothing,
I
dude.
know, but I'm just like, I'll just
Like
go
the
play
first
something with instant gratification. So,
the first time I tried that guy, I think I tried him for like an hour and a half, 2 hours
bro, I'm not
straight, and
spending fucking
and
2 hours on one boss.
and then I took a break, and then my buddy texted me and he's like, "Hey, you're on?" I was like, "Yeah, let's run some PoE," and we were both right at the exact same spot, so we just took us about another hour and a half, 2 hours to beat him, and got through it, and yeah, so
Yeah,
maybe like
no,
4 hours on that boss.
yeah, no, dude, I'm good. I'm not doing that. So, all right, dude, let's cut through the BS and get right into it. So Concord, we haven't talked about them actually in a while. So everybody knows Concord was a huge, a huge failure on Sony's part. You know, they lost like $400 million on there. Sony came out and said that despite their failure, that they're going to continue to focus on their live service games. Now, arguably, I think that Astrobot is Sony's best game, and it's not a live service game. Do you think that live service games are more popular than non-live service? Because, and the reason I'm asking you this is that Sony says that there's more money in live service games, and that's where like a lot of their focus wants to go on to. But I feel like your more popular, like more successful games are your non-live service ones. So what's your take on that?
So I definitely think in general, like live service games tend to be the games that people play the most. If you look at the games that are being played the most out of any game out now, almost all of them are live service.
But is that just because they're consistently, being updated?
I mean, that's the whole point of a live service game is you want constant updates, you want constant content. Otherwise, yeah, people get bored and people move on to the next thing. That's why games like Fortnite do so well, because it's like they have so much out, and it's not just like the regular updates to the regular battle royale mode, but you have all these different game modes. Like you were talking about the Squid Games mode that someone made, like just little stuff like that you can play. Like Roblox is another one that's just huge. You have games like World of Warcraft, Path of Exile. You have Marvel Rivals that just came out. Another example of like, yeah, people weren't necessarily really not wanting another hero shooter. Like we see that there's room in the landscape for another hero shooter. It just has to be done well.
Yeah.
Like it has to be something that people want to play and people see enjoyable. And obviously, like giving in to the Gooners, like that's a good thing too. People love seeing overly sexualized female characters in games. But no, I definitely think it's weird, because when you think of Sony, you think of these crazy cinematic single player experiences. Like that's what I think of when I think of Sony. And that's what I have thought for the longest time. Like when I think of like live service, like multiplayer games, I would always kind of steer more towards like Xbox, and that's kind of how it was when we were growing up. It's like all your multiplayer, big, huge games are going to be Xbox, with Halo, Gears of War, and then even Call of Duty to an extent. Like I think more of the people that played Call of Duty played it on Xbox versus PlayStation.
Yeah.
And PlayStation always had like Last of Us, Uncharted, stuff like that.
PlayStation, I don't know if you remember this, for the longest time, PlayStation's online play was actually free. So that was like why a lot of people bought PlayStations, and it was always a meme because like I did a lot of competitive Call of Duty. It was always a meme if somebody said they played it on PlayStation, like, oh, you're trash, you're playing COD on PS3 or I can't remember, PS2, I can't remember when. MW2 was like 2009, I think. I don't know what PlayStation, but anyways, it was always like a meme, like, oh, you play on PlayStation, like you're fucking garbage. You're not as good as an Xbox player.
Well, yeah, it's because most of the competitive gameplay was done on Xbox. That's what I'm saying. Like that's why
now
I think
it's like all PC. Majority of it's like PC.
PC, and you'll still have some console players for the most part, and a lot of it's done on PlayStation now too. So it's like that switch of how you perceive these companies, where it's like Sony went from being the single player behemoth to now it's like they want to get involved into live service. And again, like,
but do they need to though? But do they're already such a huge company. They've already, like, I mean, I guess I know Concord was a failure, but dude, like, look how many good games. Like Sony, I feel like is already winning the console wars. Like, why do they need to focus more on live service games?
Because of money.
They just
ultimately, if you get a hit in the live service genre, it's basically a money printing machine. Like if you get a game like Marvel Rivals, like we're seeing how big it's become. Like people are just blowing money left and right into this game.
It's because of the skins and shit.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like you see games like Fortnite, you see games like Roblox, like stuff like that. Like everyone wants a piece of that pie, and they want to get embedded into that because again, it's money.
So I'm just trying to like wonder like what kind of game, like what genre of game do you think Sony could really break into that would like? Because I mean, like I said, like hero shooters, like Marvel Rivals, I feel like was kind of a they just did really well with the release of it, and like I said, the characters you had the attachment to. I just don't know like what kind of genre that Sony could break into with a live service game that would be like huge, because you can't really do the battle royale because you already got games like Warzone and Fortnite. So it's like, what really could they fucking get into?
Well, I honestly thought that they could have done something in the hero shooter genre if they had gone more for instead of Concord and trying to create a new universe that was like, I don't know if you got a chance to watch the Secret Level episode of Concord. It basically, like, it's trying so hard to be Guardians of the Galaxy, and
really?
It's like such a generic story and plot line, and it's like, again, it just wasn't something that whoever was working on this in Sony, like I have no idea what they were thinking. Like, you have all these amazing characters that belong to Sony that they could have easily just gone and, okay, we're gonna make it here. yeah, we're gonna make a hero shooter with Lara Croft, with Nathan Drake, with L.
Astrobot.
Well, no, Astrobot's more newer, and even then, it's like Astrobot, like for how good of a game it was, and how and winning game of the year for a couple different uh, companies, it didn't sell as well because again, people don't necessarily really enjoy platformers like they used to. Like
Yeah.
people want different types of games. People want something that's like a little bit more challenging. Like yeah, it was fun, but it is more of like a kid's nostalgia thing. Like that's why a lot of people were playing it. A lot of people were enjoying it and because you get to kind of relive a lot of the older PlayStation memories.
But do you think that like they're really making that much money in microtransactions? Because like I'm just trying to I'm trying to play devil's advocate here. When they say there's more money in live service games, like yeah, you got your microtransactions and all that other shit, but what about the constant staff that you need to, the continued development and server space and all this shit compared to like a game like just say like Black Myth Wukong or whatever that's not a live service that is just fucking there, you're developing it, boom, the game's done, no more development really goes into it.
I mean, 100%. Like
You know what I'm saying though? Like
it depends. It depends on the game. So when we're looking at the landscape right now of like AAA games, like, and I know we're going to talk about it a little bit later as well. AAA games are so expensive to make that the likelihood of them getting a profit is extremely low. The game has to sell insanely well in order for it to justify the amount of money that they spent to make it. Versus like a live service game, like you have that ability to kind of recoup your money, and that's why you see so many different companies come out and try and make, whether it's another battle royale, like we're seeing it again with like Supervive, a battle royale MOBA game, or people trying to make MOBAs, stuff like that. Like everyone wants a piece of that live service pie.
I just wonder what kind of game. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
Sony
does a lot of good games, so I don't think they're gonna have any issue. But like I said, Concord I think was just failure before it even fucking launched.
They're working on a couple. I know they're working on like the Horizon MMO, and I'm blanking on the other one that they're working on. But I'm sure there's probably like an extraction shooter somewhere in there that they're working on. Maybe another hero shooter, maybe a battle royale. But I know for sure the Horizon MMO is one of those things that they're working on.
Hopefully it'll be pretty good. It'd be nice to see Sony put something out in that live service space to kind of recoup some of those losses from Concord. All right, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say yeah, that would be good too. But at the same time, it's like I would love to get back to a landscape in gaming where not every game that comes out is a live service game. Like yeah, like you said, I really enjoy single player games. I love playing single player content. Like yeah, even sometimes like giving you the ability to play multiplayer. But at the same time, I think when players really kind of expect constant updates and constant new content for this game to justify spending the money to it, I think that's also a bad thing. And players have just gotten so accustomed to that especially nowadays, because a lot of those games are free, and you're just getting basically free updates, and you're just spending money on microtransactions. Yeah.
Yeah. So to hop into our next thing here, there's I guess I'm gonna call it like company organization called Brick by Brick Vets, and this is a fun topic to talk about, important topic to talk about, because it kind of it does pertain to us and a large group in the gaming community. So again, Brick by Brick is a company that they have found a way to reach military veterans, and what they were doing is like using Twitch, which everybody knows, a platform by gamers to stream and stuff like that. And what they were doing was, I guess they were hosting like 2-hour long Q&A sessions with like VA experts, and then on top of this, they were doing or are doing like weekly esports with the veteran community, and basically just trying to like promote veteran mental health. Like I can't remember, it was like 21 veterans commit suicide every hour. It's a very hard subject to talk about, and it's nice to see a group like this, making it their goal to kind of bring light to it. So what do you think about this whole thing? You think that they're doing a lot of good by doing this? You think that there should be more of a spotlight on the mental health that us veterans deal with every day and stuff? Or
I think this is super cool because again, a lot of the things that people kind of miss when you get out is that community.
Oh,
Like
100%.
you build a bond with the people that you're stationed with and you're deployed with, and it's something that you can't really, unless you meet someone else that was also in the military, you can't really relate to people outside in the civilian world. Like a lot of the stuff that you can talk about while you're in the military, you can't really necessarily say it. Like me working in like an office setting, like I can't really talk the way I used to talk when I was in the military because then I'd probably get fired.
Yeah,
It's just little
man
things
love
like
Fridays.
it's just like little things like that that you kind of it's difficult to adjust to the outside world, and it's when you have and you're building a community like that where you get people that are able to interact with other people that are feeling the same way as them, where it's like I think every time I scroll on a TikTok of like people talking about the military and talking about how excited they are to get out, and then you see in the comments and everyone's like, I wish I would have never gotten out because it's like I can't adjust to this. It's like all the stuff, it's like I miss all my friends, I miss all this other
Well,
stuff.
like you said, yeah,
Like
nobody understands it. Nobody understands like what you went through. Like I said, whether you're a combat veteran like or not, like a lot of the stuff that we went through, not a lot of people can really understand like that life. I'm gonna call it the lifestyle of being in the military.
yeah, 100%, 100%. So this is definitely super cool. It's using a platform that I've kind of we've talked a, a lot about, and we've said a lot of negative things about the platform. I think it's using it in a great way, and I think the bigger and bigger that this can get, the more people that it can positively affect, and maybe even help some people that had some have some negative thoughts and are thinking about going down that pathway of possibly committing suicide. But
Yeah.
again, like this is great. Like a lot of the times people just need someone to talk to, and this is a perfect platform for it.
So, do you still talk to like any of your old military buddies?
Oh yeah, there's a couple people that I'm like always kind of checking in on and always talking to, um, just because it's like you always just want to make sure things are good.
Yeah. See, I still, this is gonna sound so gay, but so when I go on TikTok, like there's certain videos that pop up and they're the only ones that kind of give me like a teary reaction. It's always like the veterans. Like there was one that this guy he was like putting something in his car, and like his old army buddy or his military buddy came up from behind him and started like fake punching him in the back, light punching him, and the dude turned around and he like started crying, and I'm like, that, like, I don't know, kind of like hit me differently because I'm like, man, like, I built such a bond with a lot of those people because a lot of us do, a lot of us when we joined in, we were fucking 18, 19 years old. This was like our first, it was kind of put your big boy pants on and go into it. And we grew up with these people. And like, I was just, the reason I bring it up is I'm like, man, like if I were to see any of my old army buddies, bro, I'd probably fucking get teary eyed seeing them. Cause it's like, it's just so hard to, describe that bond that you share, like, even friends that I have, like, you were in the Navy and I was in the Army, but we still have like that kind of bond, just because again we've been through so much shit like in the military. And like I said, like you said, like I'm glad that a company like this or a group like this is really helping shine some light. Like I'm a part of like some Facebook groups like military veteran gaming, which isn't really, you don't really do a whole lot, but like to see this stuff, like I thought it's kind of cool how they have like these VA experts come onto their streams and they're doing like Q&As with fucking veterans, like.
Yeah, and the esports thing too, that like that's great too. Like it again, it just builds more on that camaraderie and kind of connecting people with something that they all enjoy. Like for me, like and we've talked about it at length how important gaming has been for us. Like gaming allowed us to stay connected while we were all in the military. Even after leaving high school, I think that was like the biggest reason we kind of kept in contact is we would just always play games together.
Yeah.
And same thing, it's like the people that I remember like being at work in the military, and it's like getting off work, it's like, oh, you're gonna get on, okay, yeah, let's play some Call of Duty. We would all play Call of Duty, and that's how we kind of grew a connection and we became friends. So it's like, again, you're putting them into a competitive aspect, and it's like it's something really, really cool to see. I love it.
Yeah, I just want to make mention before we go to this next segment here that they do. So obviously you can find them on Twitch, but they also have a Discord. So if you are a military veteran, or I guess anybody just interested in like the veteran community, I definitely give these guys a a look over and participate in their community, because you never know what kind of friends you can make doing that stuff. So to hop into this next one here, and this is kind of, we would lightly talked about this, and this actually kind of goes back a few episodes. We were talking about popular MMOs when you would mentioned that RuneScape was super popular. So the gaming industry, a lot of insiders are saying that like these top graphics, these quote unquote cutting edge graphics, they cost too much to make for AAA games, and I understand that, and it's weird. Like this article, it's kind of crazy, because you would think that with games you want like the best graphics and all this stuff, but like again, like RuneScape Classic is like the most popular MMO, and it's like you're playing on an old computer. I mean, look at games like Minecraft. So are you really, I mean, are you kind of surprised by that? Like, what's your take on this? Do you think that like games should like maybe not focus as much, I guess, on the graphics, but more on the story, or like, cause like you think it's kind of shown like you don't need the fucking 4K resolution shit to have a successful game?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at like the biggest games out right now, like especially the people that are playing games the most, like the younger generation,
Fucking
like
Roblox.
yeah, it's Roblox and Fortnite. It's two games that aren't really that graphically impressive. Like Minecraft as well. Like I think Minecraft in a sense like is probably one of the more like graphically impressive games you can play that doesn't really look like it. And a lot of it has to do with because it's just rendering so much at once. So a lot of the times you kind of do need something a little bit better, but at the same time you can downscale it to where it's not rendering everything all at once. You're just rendering pieces at a time. And that's why as if you ever play Minecraft and you're flying around, you'll see it. It's like you don't necessarily see the whole world. It's like as you're flying through, it's just rendering. So again, like those games like probably didn't take that much in terms of like graphics to make. And then you have another game like Balatro that just came out that took the world by storm. Like you don't necessarily need something that looks amazing. I think the only
Do you think it just needs
really,
to be accessible to everybody?
I think it just needs to be fun. Like it just needs to be enjoyable. That's
okay, but let's just say but I mean I 100% agree with you, but like you got a game that's just like, again, we say Roblox and Minecraft, like those two games alone you could run on a PC built in fucking 1998 and still be fine, but you can't play any of these new games on that. And I think like having these games be accessible to everybody is like in part like what makes them as successful as they are too.
I mean I think that helps for sure. I definitely think that helps, but at the same time it's like it doesn't. I think people are just so worried about making a game that's going to sell well before even thinking about like whether or not the game is fun. I don't know if you saw the Game Awards, like right before they do the game of the year presentation, they get the last year's winner to come out and give like a little talking. And James Olin had like he was one of the head designers for Baldur's Gate, and they won Game of the Year last year, and he was basically talking about how he really feels like it's the recipe to win Game of the Year is very simple. You need to make a game that the developers enjoy, that the developers find fun, and they're doing it for the love of the game and not so much because they want to increase stock prices, they want to make more money. It's like you want to make a fun game, and people are forgetting that's the whole point of gaming. Like when gaming
just to have fun
initially started, people were creating games that they thought were cool and thought were fun, and they weren't making games because it's like, oh, these are the best graphics ever.
Yeah, like look at like Pac-Man and all these other things. People fucking loved them because they were fun to play.
And people still play those games. Like people still play Tetris, people still play Pong. Like people will always play a game as long as it's fun. Like that's the thing. It's like
and
some
addictive.
of the biggest. Yeah, that helps too. But again, like the addictive part of it too is just it's fun.
Comes from it being fun. Yeah.
Like kids will spend hours and hours playing Roblox, just doing whatever because they have fun. Whether they're playing with their friends and their friends are having fun, and they're having fun because they're playing with their friends. It's just a simple concept, and I know we what's it called? We've played. recently like trying to get you to play more and more games and kind of expose you
I've
to
played a
different
shit ton
things.
of games over the past like probably like 2-3 months. I've played more games than I ever have because I was always like, I was always a WoW player, maybe League and like Call of Duty, but other than that, like I never really played anything. Like you guys have like kind of got me good, Pal Worlds, PoE, Marvel Rivals. Like there's a fucking shit ton of games. Hell,
Yeah.
even like Dale and Dawson, like that game was fucking hilarious. But like I would have never known about it, and unless I had somebody like kind of like, yo, fucking check this shit out. Hell, we even played Baldur's Gate 3 together as well too. But like most of those games are
Yeah.
games that I wouldn't even ever have thought of playing back in the day.
And that's why I love PC gaming more than anything. And I think a lot of the console games are kind of starting to go more of that, the indie game route. Is there's just so many different games out there, so many developers out there, and it's really cool to see. Like I love playing. Like if I see a game and it looks interesting, and it's not super expensive, I'm gonna buy it. Like and I told you I give myself a budget of a certain amount of money every month, and whether there's a new AAA
Okay,
game that I
but
want
do
to
you just
play
go through
or
like Steam, the store, and just try to see what's on sale, and you just go down and be like, oh, this looks cool, this is cool, this is cool,
yeah.
or like, what do you
At the same
do?
time too, like I'm always going and I'm always adding stuff to my wish list. So it's like I have 34 games in my wish list right now, and
Yeah.
eventually I'm gonna buy all 34 of those games, and I'm gonna like whether if it goes on sale. Like sometimes too, I go over my budget because it's like I'll see a game that's on my wish list that's like 70% off or 80% off, and I was like uh I can't not take advantage of this deal. I'm not gonna say no. I'm gonna buy it, and
How
I'm
often are
gonna
you using that discovery queue though, where it like kind of pans through, or you like click through a bunch of different games that are in genres that you want to play?
sometimes, not as often. Usually, what I do is I'll go through like I go through the main store page. So whatever's on sale, that's the first thing I check. I check new games as they're coming out, and then obviously, like I said, I'll just add stuff to my wish list.
And are most of your games that you enjoy super graphically intense like games, or are they more?
No, I mean I've told you how I've spent like hours playing like Stardew Valley and like Civ and games like that. It's even games like that I play like Gunfire Reborn. Like when I think about like the games that I play the most that I play with my friends, it's games like Golf with Your Friends, Stardew Valley, it's Gunfire Reborn, Dylan
Yeah, I
Dawson,
don't
like
really ever
and
see
all
you
those.
playing like brand new games that are like super graphic intensive games.
I think Helldivers is probably the most recent like big graphically intense game that we played. But again, like most of the games that I tend to play, it's games that I can play with my friends, and that's the part that I enjoy the most about gaming.
So you mentioned Stardew Valley. We actually just got done playing that for a little bit. So they, I guess, as of last week, have surpassed over 41 million copies of the game being sold. Does that surprise you? I mean, like when I actually thought it's quite enjoyable. If to me it's like what you had said to me. It's almost like a time sink. It's where it's like you start playing, you get caught up in the game. Like, oh, I need to do this. I need to pass time to start the next day so I can harvest these turnips or fucking whatever. I need to go chop down X amount of trees. So you kind of lose track of time. Like, like? Does this number surprise you, like with how popular it is? And on top of that, like, why do you think now? Because the game came out like what, like 10 years ago?
2016.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so like 9 years ago. Like, why is it all of a sudden got this huge surge of popularity?
I think Stardew has always been extremely popular since it first came out because again it's one of those games that's like a mixture of like a cozy game, but it also has things that a competitive player can kind of take into. It's like you have the contest, you have certain events that have to get done by a specific time period, so like people that really want to min max things can kind of go in there. They started adding extra seeds and adding multiplayer and adding different things. You can customize so much, so it's almost like a mixture of like, yeah, you have Minecraft, but not Minecraft.
I thought
I
it's
don't
like
know.
a
It's
Pokemon. I like the graphics remind me of like Pokemon.
yeah, and again, it's a game that probably didn't cost that much to make, and it made $600 million. Like
Like that's
it,
fucking
that's
insane.
yeah, Yeah, it's crazy, and it's like he's. I know the main guy is making another game here pretty soon, kind of like a magic version of Stardew Valley. So, and people are going to eat it up as long as it's just as enjoyable. I think people love these time sink games where it's like you can just it just sucks so much time out of your day, and you just don't even realize it. And it's the same thing with Balatro. It's like you can start playing it, and by the time you're done, you don't even realize it's like, oh crap, I just spent fucking 6 hours playing this game.
So, what's your favorite part about this game?
Um. I don't know. I like having the specific and like you're working to get to a specific goal. Like so in the game, I don't think we've well you didn't get to see it because I think you didn't go into town. Your guy just stayed in the farm. But so you
Yeah,
get
I kept
this
getting
like
exhausted so quick, so I was doing all the fucking grunt work.
you get this like community hall, and there's specific things that you have to donate to the community hall in order to basically receive the gift, and you have to fill every single portion of it. And there's different things that you can do. It's like some stuff you can only get during certain times of the year, so you can only get some things during the spring, some things during the winter, and stuff like that. And there's fish too that you have to get, and like certain fish you can only fish in certain areas. Like some can only be in a river, some can only be in the ocean, and some can only be in a lake and stuff like that. So it's like it's having that, and like like okay, this is exactly what I'm going to work on. But then at the same time, it's like you can go and explore, and you can go do all these different things. So it's like you always have a goal in mind, and I love games that give you like very specific
Yeah.
direction. And it's like, okay, I know exactly this is what I need to do. And it's like I love open world games too, but at the same time, it's like I love it when a game tells you like this is what you need to do and this is what you need to get in order to progress to the next step.
Yeah, it kind of gives you something to work for, work towards.
Yeah.
See, I like this. I just found out you can actually like get married in there and have children in the game.
Yeah.
I guess maybe we should stop sleeping in the same bed, huh?
Well, that was you trying to sleep in my bed.
I didn't even know it was fucking possible, but it's kind of cool. I didn't know you could also play with up to 8 players, like in the same I'm gonna call it a village or same little farm. What's your take on this here? So also rating it. So the developer has stated that anytime he puts out DLC, like it's gonna be completely free. So you're basically only paying for the base game, and then every update, everything. All this DLCs, all this stuff like that is 100% free. Like, what do you think of that? Like, for me, I think it's like that's like a nice, like a breath of fresh air. Cause like you said, a lot of these other gaming companies, the first thing they think about is how are we going to make all this money? How are we going to make all this money? And this guy like is just like, you know what? I just want to make a game that's enjoyable for everybody to play. I don't really care how much money I'm making off it. I mean, granted, he's made fucking, $600 million on the damn thing. But like I think it kind of goes to those roots of you need to make a game that's enjoyable that you enjoy playing too,
And I think that's why this game also has such a big following. They understand the developer is doing things for the community, and he wants to see the community kind of continue to grow and wants to see people continue to enjoy it. Like the amount of people that I see playing this game that are on like their 100th run. Like I every once in a while I'll go on Twitch and I'll watch like speedrunners try to speedrun through this game, and it's like they're on like their 1,000th run, and it's
is
like
there an end game to it?
Yeah. So there's like a certain point where it's like you've kind of beaten the game. So some people like once they get to that point, they just basically make a new farm and just try different things. And like I said, there's different seeds. So like you don't necessarily have to start in that specific zone. You could have a zone where there's monsters that come out at night, and just a bunch of different things. It's pretty cool. There's other things that make it harder and easier and stuff like that. But there's so many different ways that you can play the game. And
I saw you can have it on difficulties too.
Yeah, and that's the really cool thing that people like. It's I've seen people that do like only like animal product, and once they get to the animal product portion, once they're able to get like pigs, cows, chickens, and all that stuff, they just get rid of everything else, and it's like they just hard focus on that one thing. It's very similar to like I don't know if you've ever played like ranch simulator or farming simulator. It's like
that sounds like hyper focus on like
you can like hyper focus on like one thing, and I think that's super cool. Because you get to see how far you've progressed. Like when you first go in, like you see what the farm looks like, and then if you see like how some other people's farms look that they've been playing for years, it's crazy. It's crazy to see how far your thing goes.
You can customize a lot of shit in there too, can't you? Like the way your house looks and stuff. I mean, I know we've only played for like half an hour,
Yeah.
But I wonder if I can hop into your world or our farm when you're not on.
So that I don't know. You might be able to. This is the first time I've ever. Actually, not the first time. I tried playing it with a buddy a couple years back, but he didn't really enjoy it. But
I
he's
feel
also
like if
not.
we were to sit here play, like we're just gonna get lost in the time.
Yeah, and that's a really cool thing. It's like I love games like that, and that's why when we started playing like Enshrouded and Power World, it's like it was just such a big time suck. I just wish too, like you said, that you're able to kind of go into the worlds whenever. I think that'd be awesome. Similar to like Minecraft. I think that's one of the really cool things that Minecraft does. Granted, you have to pay for the worlds and the realms and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's fine. Like it's whatever. Like you're paying to host a private server. Like that's cool. But people can go in there whenever. Like I know for the longest time I had a private server with my little brother for Minecraft, and I ended up canceling because he just went into my house and just destroyed everything.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
That sounds like something somebody I know would do. Get pissed off at us for going too far, advancing. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Without even having to say the person's name.
Yeah.
So, anything else you want to hit on with today's episode?
No.
No, so some games that are on sale on Steam that I think you guys should check out. Steve talked about this game. Far Cry 5 is 85% off at $8.99. You got Tom Clancy The Division is 85% off at $4.49, and BioShock Infinite is 75% off at $7.49. And that's it for today's episode of The BS Show. If you enjoyed the unfiltered conversations, make sure to follow us on all socials at The BS Show GG. We appreciate you listening, and we'll be back next week with more straight talk. No BS.